Here with his take, House Majority Whip, Congressman Steve Scalise. Congressman, good of you to be here.
Good to be here.
Good to have you.
Morning.
So I asked Corey, I said, were there many cracks in the campaign? Was this a sign of trouble? And he said, just like businesses, things evolve and new people take over.
Well, it's time to shift over from the primary, which was, as you talked about, 17 candidates, very hard fought, to now going into a general election. The convention's just a few weeks away. Clearly, when the vice presidential pick's made, it's going to be a big moment in the campaign.
Who's that going to be?
Well, you know, there's going to be a lot of people, I'm sure, that he's looking at, but I would think you're going to have to look for somebody that's got some experience at running government, whether it's a governor, whether it's a member of Congress, somebody that can help him to be able to be successful when he comes in, because there's so much to do to get this economy back on track, the disaster of what's been 8 years of Barack Obama, to finally be able to turn things around quickly. I think that first 100 days can be very successful in reversing a lot of the policies that can be done through executive order, but then really shaping a legislative agenda that's focused on creating jobs and bringing them back to America.
And I want to get your take on this, because this was a scary moment on the Trump campaign trail. This 19-year-old that was arrested for trying to disarm a police officer at a Trump rally in Las Vegas over the weekend, telling authorities that he intended to use the gun to kill Trump. Do you think that the response would have been different had this happened at a Hillary Clinton rally? Because we haven't heard much about this.
Who knows? It should be a big story, because it shows you just how, how volatile this election cycle has become. I think it does show just how successful local law enforcement is. This administration's really knocked local law enforcement in a lot of ways around the country. Obviously, it looks like the Las Vegas police responded very quickly and appropriately at subduing and arresting this individual who clearly was trying to kill Donald Trump. Was here illegally. Just underscores how much is at stake in this election.
And by the way, at stake, we're talking a possible money problem or not? $1 million, just over $1 million that Trump has in the bank, and Hillary Clinton over $42 million in the campaign bank. How's that going to be in a general election? Well,
if you're Hillary Clinton, you need a $42 million advantage to try to explain away all of your negatives, how people don't trust her, the fact that she's been associated with Barack Obama for most of his administration, and all the failures that people want to overcome, the slow growth, the bad economy. Donald Trump's been able to do a whole lot more with a whole lot less, and frankly, I think you're going to see him focus on raising money, which he'll be able to do, but Hillary's going to need a lot more money to overcome her negatives.
They should spend it on air freshener to cover up the stench of this foul, sour economy. Because if she's trying to run on Barack Obama's record on this economy, she's got a long way to go. Because, again, Star Jones mentioned infrastructure spending. President Obama has mentioned infrastructure spending in every single speech, I think, that he's given, not just about the economy, but that seems to be the elixir, and he always puts the blame on you, on the Republicans in the House and in the Senate.
He wants to keep spending money, and it's had worse results. Hillary Clinton's part of the foreign policy disaster that we've seen from this administration, too. So I don't think she's going to be wanting to talk about domestic or foreign policy, because she's tied to both failures.
Congressman, when you look at the elections, presidential election years are always tough, and it's about turnout. Tell us what you think is going to happen with the House. Are you going to be able to keep the House, and what will be your legislative priorities after the August recess?
We're very focused on keeping the House. We have the largest majority at 247 House Republicans since 1928, and we're not taking any seat for granted. We won a lot of seats that Barack Obama won, but we've got great members that are working really hard back home, both being really good members of Congress, but going back home and talking about what's going on, what we're doing to try to get the economy back on track. And we've rolled out an agenda that's very bold and conservative and focused on getting the economy moving again, getting spending under control, balancing the budget, getting our tax rate competitive so that we don't keep losing jobs to foreign countries, and frankly restoring the balance of powers that you've seen so upset under Barack Obama. So Speaker Ryan's laid this out well. Our members have been very involved in it, and you're going to be hearing that talked about all throughout the country as our members can talk about what we would do, especially in those first 100 days of a new administration under Donald Trump.
We want to get your take on this, because you've been on this Zika story, and now a pharmaceutical company has received the go-ahead to begin testing a Zika vaccine on humans. You've been very vocal about this in the House's efforts to pass a $622 million Zika funding bill. How's Congress working with pharmaceutical companies now to fund the stop of this horrific virus that is just scaring the country right now, quite frankly.
Yeah, and this shows that we've taken this seriously. It's a serious national problem. We passed legislation a few months ago to reprioritize existing money at NIH and other agencies to move almost $600 million into helping find cures, helping combat this. Frankly, we identified there's even problems over at the EPA where EPA policy is making it harder to spray for mosquitoes. As ludicrous as that is, it shows you how crazy some of these radical regulations out of this administration are. Zika is spread by mosquitoes. I'm from South Louisiana. We understand how to combat mosquitoes. You spray for mosquitoes where they grow near sources of water. EPA is actually making it harder and more expensive to do that. So as part of our package, it's not just about money. We passed a bill to reverse that policy, and President Obama issued a veto threat on it. So let's continue to focus resources, existing money, on finding cures like this vaccine could prove to be. But let's also get rid of some of these crazy regulations that actually make it harder, common sense things, so that we can go kill mosquitoes.
So to make these regulatory changes, you need the White House. Yeah. To win the White House, you've got to run an effective campaign. How do you respond to the notion that with the campaign fundraising apparatus still kind of under construction, the ground game plan very vague coming out of the Trump campaign? I mean, the knock on Trump is he's a micromanager that doesn't delegate well and has a hard time running really complicated initiatives. I mean, are you worried at all that the campaign is getting off to a slow start on all these key areas, and that the American people are going to worry that if he can't run a campaign, it's going to be a lot harder to run the country?
Well, we had moved our convention up earlier so that you look at Donald Trump, he'll be our nominee about a month before Mitt Romney was, so he'll have more time to really focus on putting that plan in place. Look, you're talking about swing states, maybe about 8 to 10 states that'll decide this election. As you can see in the polling in states like Ohio and states like Pennsylvania, which we haven't won in multiple cycles, every one of those states is within the margin of error. In some cases, Trump is leading. So it shows you this is a very winnable race. Obviously, he hasn't been in politics for 30 years like Hillary Clinton, but he's shown that he can generate a lot of enthusiasm, get a lot of Democrats, the old Reagan Democrats that had left us for a while, are coming back to this campaign.
Congressman, I'll have to reveal myself. I'm an LSU grad.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
I knew that.
Good to have you. All right.
Great being with you.
Who doesn't know that?
We keep it well known.
Sometimes I'm not in my purple and gold, but
you got bragging rights.
Yeah. Good to have you. All right.